I'm Frank Garza, and welcome to Here and Abroad, a podcast that follows the U.S. men's national team and their player pool across Europe, MLS, or wherever else they play their club football. The USMNT'S 60-man provisional roster for the Gold Cup was just announced by Concacaf, and on today's show, we're going to break that down. Let's get straight to it. So for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see my screen here. For those just listening, don't worry because I'll talk us through everything. But what you're seeing here on the screen is you're seeing two columns of players. To the left are the players that were named to the Gold Cup provisional roster that was just announced. The list of players to the right is the players that were announced for the Nations League provisional roster. So we're going to be kind of comparing these two provisional rosters from the Gold Cup that was just released and the Nations League from a few months ago, just so we can compare and contrast those. As we're going down this list of players, you'll see some highlights. The two I want to note the most are a green highlight in the Gold Cup column means this is a new player that wasn't included in the last roster. And then a red highlight in the Nations League column are players that were left out of this Gold Cup roster. So let's start with the goalkeepers. So the goalkeepers that were in this Gold Cup provisional roster: Patrick Schulte, Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, Matt Freese, Diego Cochin, and then Christopher Brady is new this time. The goalkeepers that were left out this time that were at the Nations League, not at the Nations League, but were included in the last provisional roster are Ethan Horvath and Drake Callender. So Christopher Brady is in, Ethan Horvath and Drake Callender are out. You can also see a few players highlighted here in orange: Patrick Schulte, Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, because they were the players who ultimately made the final 23-man roster for the Nations League Final Four. So we don't know who that's going to be yet for the Gold Cup. But in terms of the provisional roster, Christopher Brady and Ethan Horvath, Drake Callender were left out. Let's go to the defenders. We have a whole list of them here. I'll start with the defenders that are in this Gold Cup provisional roster and were also in the last provisional roster: Cameron Carter-Vickers, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Marlon Fossey, Joe Scally, Austin Trusty, Anthony Robinson, George Campbell, Nathan Harriel, DeJuan Jones, Shaq Moore, Miles Robinson, John Tolkien, and Walker Zimmerman. So you can see there are 6 new defenders that were announced for the Gold Cup provisional roster: Tristan Blackman, center back for Vancouver, Serginho Dest, Alexander Freeman, Richie Ledesma, Christopher Lund, Caleb Wiley. They're the 6 that are new. And then 2 were left out: Jackson Reagan and Noah Kai Banks. So Tristan Blackman, he's an interesting one. I'll get more into that a little bit later. But it's great to see Serginho Dest, back in there, as well after the injury. So again, Tristan Blackman, Serginho Dest, Alexander Freeman, Richie Ledesma, Christopher Lund, Caleb Wiley are in. Jackson Reagan, Noah Kai Banks were left out. Let's go to the midfielders. Okay, here's the list of players that are in the Gold Cup provisional roster and were also in the last one: Brendan Aronson, Paxton Aronson, Tyler Adams, Max Arfston, Gianluca Buzio, Johnny Cardoso, Caden Clark, Luca De La Torre, Maximilian Dietz, Amika Anelli, Diego Luna, Jack McGlynn, Jordi Mihalovic, Matko Miljevic, Aiden Morris, Yunus Musa, Tanner Tessman, Timothy Tillman. And we have 2 new ones: Sean Zawadzki and Sebastian Berhalter make it in this time. And then we have 4 that were not included from last time: Weston McKennie, Gio Reyna, Benjamin Karmaski, and Indiana Vasilev. Of course, Weston McKennie and Gio Reyna were left off because of the Club World Cup that they're going to be playing in this summer with their clubs. So Sean Zawadzki, Sebastian Berhalter in, Weston McKennie, Gio Reyna, Benjamin Karmaski, Indiana Vasilev out. That's the midfielders. Let's go to the forwards now. Okay, so here's the list of forwards that are still in after the Nations League. They're in the Gold Cup as well. Provisional roster: Patrick Agyemang, Damian Downs, Brian Gutierrez, Christian Pulisic, Josh Sargent, Brandon Vasquez, Brian White, Griffin Yao, Alex Zendejas. And the new ones included are Folarin Balogun, Quinn Sullivan, Malik Tillman, Haji Wright. The ones left out were Tim Weah, Cole Campbell, Cade Cowell, Jesus Ferreira, and Jordan Morris. So again, Folarin Balogun, Quinn Sullivan, Malik Tillman, Haji Wright are in. Tim Weah, Cole Campbell, Cade Cowell, Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris are out. And of course, Tim Weah is just like Weston McKennie and Gio Reyna, left out because of the Club World Cup that they're going to be participating in. So let's take a look at this next tab here, which is just a summary of the changes. So there was 13 differences between the provisional roster that was announced for the Nations League Final Four and this Gold Cup provisional roster that was just announced. So Christopher Brady, goalkeeper for the Chicago Fire, in. I don't think it's a real surprise that Ethan Horvath and Drake Callender were left out. Drake Callender isn't even the starting goalkeeper for Inter Miami anymore. Ethan Horvath just got relegated out of the championship. And I think he had lost his starting position, this season as well. Maybe he was playing some more due to injury lately, or towards the end of the season. But I mean, he's just been kind of trending out. The defenders: Serginho Dest, Alexander Freeman, Richie Ledesma, Christopher Lund, Caleb Wiley in. I don't think any real big surprises there. Dest coming back from injury. Great to see him in there. Alexander Freeman, who's been playing, so well with Orlando City, SC and MLS. Richie Ledesma is the interesting one because there had been some rumors that he potentially was going to do a one-time switch and represent the Mexican national team. So curious to see how that plays out. Christopher Lund back after he used to be kind of a regular in the lineup, but didn't make the last provisional roster, and Caleb Wiley, who's been playing well for Watford in the championship. The defenders that are out: Jackson Reagan, Noah Kai Banks. I think a lot of folks will be surprised about the Noah Kai Banks. I mean, because he's a center back that plays in the Bundesliga, and a lot of people have been calling for him because, we're so weak at center back, or there's so many questions at center back, I should say. But he really hasn't been playing that much for Augsburg lately. And I think he's only 18 years old. So maybe the coaching staff just decided, if he's going to be that young, if we're going to give him a chance, he has to be playing regular minutes, and he's not, so he was left out. Midfielders: Sean Zawodzki from the Columbus Crew, Sebastian Berhalter from the Vancouver Whitecaps in. A lot of folks had been calling for Sebastian Berhalter because of that. He's just been playing so great for Vancouver, and Vancouver has been playing great in MLS and their run to the Concacaf Champions Cup final. So I guess they took the place of Wes McKennie, Gio Reyna, Benjamin Karmaski, and Indiana Vasilev. I mean, I have to say I was a little surprised that Wes McKennie, Gio Reyna, and then Tim Weah were left off the provisional roster because I'm sure they have kind of discussions with the clubs, and they get their, maybe they've heard, hey, we're going to be taking these guys to the Club World Cup. No sense in including them, but I don't know. We're still a long ways away from the Gold Cup. Things can happen. I thought maybe they would have just put him on there just in case something happened, especially Gio Reyna, because, most people feel like he's going to leave Dortmund this season, and maybe they don't bring him to the Gold Cup. I mean, I don't know. I thought maybe you could, as a contingency plan, just keep him on there since it's 60-man, plenty of availability. But the coaching staff decided to leave them off. Benjamin Karmaski, he hasn't been playing that much with Inter Miami. He definitely doesn't start, every match. I see him start one here and there. And then Indiana Vasilev, I mean, haven't heard too much about what he's doing at Philadelphia Union, but he's one that gets left off as well. Forwards: AS Monaco, Folarin Balogun, Quinn Sullivan, Malik Tillman, Haji Wright. Maybe the biggest standout here is Quinn Sullivan, because Balogun, Tillman, and Wright, they were all injured when the last provisional roster got announced, so it's no surprise to see them back in there. But Quinn Sullivan's been playing very well with the Philadelphia Union and MLS this season, and so I did see a lot of people shout out to him the last couple of weeks, thinking that he deserved to get in there. And then, Tim Weah, Cole Campbell, Cade Cow, Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris left out. I mean, again, Tim Weah out because of the Club World Cup. Cole Campbell, I mean, I was a little surprised to see him out, but, I haven't seen him play for Dortmund in a long time. I mean, he's been making the rosters, but haven't seen him get minutes in a while. Cade Cowell, I was a little surprised to see him left out for Chivas. And then Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, I mean, no big surprises there. It is kind of just remarkable how much Jesus Ferreira has fallen, considering he started in the USMNT'S World Cup knockout round match against the Netherlands, and here we are, 3 years later, and he's not even making a 60-man provisional roster. But there you go. That is the 60-man provisional roster for the Gold Cup. I'm hearing that Pochettino is going to release a final 26-man roster this coming Thursday. I'm not sure if that roster is going to be just for the June friendlies against Turkey and Switzerland or for the Gold Cup as well. I've heard both. We'll see what happens on Thursday, and I'm sure there'll be a press conference afterwards where he'll be talking about it. But it is a 26-man roster for the Gold Cup, and so there's going to be a few more players, 3 extra players than usual that get onto that roster, which might be a chance for some people we haven't seen to make the roster, or people we haven't seen in a while to get back on the roster. It'll be really interesting to see when that comes out how it looks. All right, thanks to everyone for listening to Here and Abroad. If you enjoyed the episode, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or that follow button if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or somewhere else. Thank you so much. I'm Frank Garza. You can follow me on X at FrankGarza007, and I'll be back next week with a new episode.